Hello there. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Powerful Podcast or the Powerful Pod. My name is Haley Barbetti, and if you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. I am just Powerful Hippie on YouTube, and if you prefer Spotify, I am on Spotify. I'm going to raise my table up just a touch. Oh, there you go. It's cool to have a table that raises up and down. It's very convenient. I found this on Amazon. It was hard to put together, but totally worth it. And again, Spotify, The Powerful Pod, Instagram, Powerful Hippie. If you want to email me, if you have any questions, or if you would like to be on an episode, a new, episode format type of thing. When I interview people is coming up this year. I'm so excited to have new people, new faces on my podcast because this is just for funsies. This is not my full-time or part-time job. I don't make any money off of this. This is really just for fun, to connect and to bring you more health and fitness kind of related content to make your health and fitness journeys a lot easier. And I do have a discount code though at Redcon. So if you are not familiar, Redcon 1 supplements are awesome. They have protein powders, they have creatine, pre-workouts, non-stimulant pre-workouts, so no caffeine. They have electrolytes, hydration supplements, fat loss supplements, fat burners. There's so many things. They also have awesome apparel. I do happen to own their shorts, I think sports bra, and definitely shirts and tank tops. High quality for the workouts. And they are also at Vitamin Shop and online, but I do go through their website because I have a discount code. It's just Powerful Hippie all together at checkout, and I'll include that in the show notes as well. If you can't tell, I don't have a format today. This is the first podcast, and I think this is episode 21, which I don't know how I have done over 20 episodes, so I'm gonna give myself a round of applause because when I stick to something, I really do stick to it. I don't like to give up. And I told myself, regardless, I'm going to get to 50 episodes and see if I still like doing podcasts, if anyone's paying attention, which I do get some feedback on social media, and that does make my day. So thank you so much. But this, like I said, this is just for fun. This is my side hustle. I want to interview people. I'm making content. I have social media. I have ebooks. I have workout plans on my website, and I'm going to bring more of that this year. This is my year to really work on health and fitness stuff. So today's episode, though, is to remind you not just that I have a website, but I'm actually putting out helpful content for free. So I have a blog. And I know it's early 2000s, cue the music. I know it's Julia and Julia. I think it's the movie all about Julia Childs and the cookbook. You gotta watch that movie if you like to cook. It's a great movie. But she writes a blog, and that's how I feel when I write the blog. But it's just because not only have I learned so much as a personal trainer and an athlete, but because things can be way more complicated than you might think they are. And they're really not that complicated. So I'm trying to simplify stuff, make things digestible for you. A lot of it right now that I'm focusing on is nutrition, kind of dietary information, but lifestyle habit changes, because that's where I feel like so many people fall flat or fall short, unfortunately, even myself included. There are so many days when I did not, during my bodybuilding prep, want to weigh my food because it takes time. It also makes your food feel not, I don't know what the right word is. I know this is a psychological thing that personally I've had to get past, so don't feel like you're alone in this, but it makes food look like numbers, and then you feel like food is not enjoyable or it's just for maintenance. And there's pros and cons to that ideology, so I definitely kind of wanted to break that down really fast. So regardless, food is calories. That's just how it works. Regardless, food is broken down into macronutrients, carbs, fats, proteins. Depending on the food, they might have all three or not. So if you're talking about an avocado, I don't know how many carbs, if there's any carbs, maybe no carbs, but there's some fat in there, maybe a little protein, fiber, So regardless of if you want to weigh your food, track your food or not, just know that building a healthy relationship with food can take time, especially if you're recovering from an eating disorder or disordered eating. And I am not a specialist, by the way. I'm just sharing my information. Um, but I wanted to really break down my blogs into more nutrition, dietary information, but also to give you information so that you aren't looking at the internet and feel overwhelmed. Because even if you put stuff into ChatGPT or Google or any AI, or even if you're just researching like through actual, journal articles like scholastic or scholarly, I was going to say scholastic, scholarly journal articles, maybe you're finding great information, but it might not pertain to you specifically, or it might not be something that, is going to benefit your life, just depending on your health and fitness goals. So I think that this information that I'm sharing, by the way, is beneficial to everybody, whether you're starting out in the gym, whether you've taken a break in the gym or your health and fitness routine, whether you're an advanced person but just need some help getting back on track or better reminders for recovery, sleep optimization, and just creating a healthy, balanced life. Because at the end of the day, most people, not everybody, but most people's goals are to either maintain, put on more muscle mass, lose some body fat, get stronger in the gym, which you can do all three. But you, again, have to have consistency, you have to have a plan, you have to look ahead at your options and see what's doable in a certain timeline, or else it's going to take longer or be more expensive or maybe even frustrating than you anticipated. As someone who's been a seasoned power lifter, I can say that with strength, putting on strength just doesn't happen overnight. You have to spend sometimes 6 months or more. So anywho, I'm just going to jump into the blogs. And today I actually did another blog, and it's all about how to meal prep. So again, it's at powerfulhippie.com/blog, and I will include that in the show notes as well. And I have 5 blogs. I've been trying to blog every few weeks or so just for fun again. And I wanted to talk about it because we're getting into the spring/summer time of the year where people who kind of put off their New Year's resolutions are coming back into fruition because they can go outside again. They feel more active. They want to look better, maybe at the beach or in a bathing suit, or just have better nutrition and better lifestyle habits, which can definitely happen when you make it more of a priority. Usually you have more time. The days are longer in the summer. So it's actually, I hate the new year, new me, because January is not the best time to make plans because you're not spending as much time outside. You're not getting as much sunlight or vitamin D. You're not going to probably have as much energy. If you work and you get off work and it's 6 o'clock, it's dark outside already. So you feel like, oh, I shouldn't go on a walk. And you might not feel motivated to go to the gym because it's dark and you don't want to drive in the dark. So I totally understand that. And I'm going to probably have a whole episode on New Year, New Me because I've learned a lot this year for New Year, New Me. But meal prepping is a great way any time of the year. It doesn't have to be right now, but any time of the year, literally, to get back onto your habits. So again, most people want to get healthy and they can work out. They maybe increase their step amounts, work on their sleep, limit, or even decrease or completely eliminate alcohol consumption. And you might even be taking additional supplements like creatine. However, but it comes to dieting is hard. So why is that? I think people really struggle with time, budget, making meals that are satiating, so feeling full for longer. Maybe you're bored, maybe you're overwhelmed or confused where to start. But meal prepping, again, is just such a great tool. It's not the only tool to be healthy or stick to a diet, but this one, not just because I posted this today, but this one is the most important one if you want to see sustainable results and feel good and feel less stressed about food or about a number on a scale. You have a backup plan. This is such an easy backup plan, and I'm going to make it easy, easy, easy for you. So I have 4 little bullet points that I'm going to break down. The first one's going to sound silly, but it really is true. And which I have seen this because I used to get certain containers. They were like the plastic ones, black plastic with the little lid on top. I don't like that. Not even, they were like BPA free, but when you put plastic in the microwave, it's okay, supposedly. But for me, I just never felt right about it. And also, I don't like eating it with plastic. I feel like it's unglamorous or unluxurious or whatever. You do kind of have to glamorize your life. Maybe if you're like me and you're a little ADHD neurodivergent, little things like that can actually be silly, but life-changing because it makes you feel better about what you're doing, which then you're going to keep doing it. That's probably some psychology behind this. But for me, I like glass containers. I like to get mine from Home Goods or TJ Maxx. I've even found a set at Aldi, and I like the ones that are airtight with like the lips on the side to keep everything sealed and fresh, and then there's no odor or smell in your lunchbox or in the refrigerator. Again, they're not that expensive. Even a set at Aldi, because I remember I got one for my mom for Christmas. I think it was like $20 for like a set of 8 containers. So that's really not bad. And especially like the big ones, they're really awesome. That's what I like to use. But glasses, be careful. If it's cold, I learned this the hard way. This is not in the blog, but if it's a cold glass container and you put it in the microwave, it has cracked on me. So try to get your glass container to be room temperature before you put it in the microwave for 4 minutes. It could, just because the temperature difference, I guess, make it crack, or maybe it's because it was old or there was water. I have no idea. I'd never looked up why it cracked, but that makes sense to me. So just be careful. But glass, in my opinion, is great because you don't have to worry about like odors or leaking as much. It's usually they're bigger. I like it again because I feel like it's not necessarily luxurious, but more high end than plastic. And there's probably again some psychological thing behind that, but also there's usually no BPA's, or it's like chemical, like phthalate free. And it's just a great way to keep your food together. It looks pretty in your fridge. So again, if you're like OCD, kind of like me, you like things to look a certain way, it's pretty in your fridge, boom, it's more likely for you to find it enticing. So that's number one, find good containers. Number two is plan a meal prep day or meal prep days. I see so many people, it's typical to plan on Sunday just because then you can start fresh for Monday. And that seems maybe boring, but that's a system that has proven accurate time and time again. Let's just say you spend 1 or 2 hours on Sunday. So maybe between like 5 and 7 p.m. on a Sunday. That's it. That's all you have to think about. Maybe you're good for 2 or 3 days. And that really helps take like the, paralysis out of decision making away. You're more likely to stick to a plan because you don't want to waste food. And then also, it's going to save you so much money in the long run because let's just say you meal prep asparagus and maybe protein pasta and chicken breast, right? And that's already prepared. That's probably like a total around between $5 and $7. But if you go out to eat and you go to like Panera and you get like a chicken breast with salad and like, I don't know, some potatoes or something, that's going to run you probably $15 at least, maybe more because Panera's gotten kind of expensive. And plus, you'll know the ingredients that are in the meal, which is also reassuring because then you don't have to worry about additional calories coming from. Usually it's additional oils or salad dressings or toppings that you weren't expecting. And you would be surprised. That could be an extra 200 or 300 calories per meal. So it just takes a lot of the paralysis out of guessing, out of your systems, out of your food. And I feel like, meal prepping is just, it feels good in the moment. You're like, I feel like I'm doing something. And for me, it kind of starts or ends my Sunday off on a good note, whether I decide to meal prep that day or not, just because I know I did something to prepare myself for the week. So even if I'm not having a busy work week, even if I'm only planning to work like 20, 30 hours that week, I don't have to worry about food. And that's a beautiful thing. And you can meal prep anything. You can meal prep breakfast. I see people do that all the time. So like, let's just say you're really feeling breakfast sandwiches that week. You could do like an English muffin with some cooked eggs, maybe a little, slice of cheese, or nitrate free. I'd prefer without nitrates, or nitrates free lunch meat. And maybe you put that in the freezer and then you can heat that up in 2 minutes, boom. Then you have a breakfast sandwich. I lived off of healthy breakfast sandwiches when I worked full-time in person. My job was at a university in person. If it wasn't for the breakfast sandwich, I don't know if I would have made it throughout my day because I just needed something. Like I'd have a protein shake on the way to work or like a smoothie. And then by 9, 10 o'clock, I'd be hungry again. And so breakfast sandwiches. But, it just helps so much when you have a meal prep day because then you start your new work week out on a fresh note, in my opinion. So try that. The next one is the food group options. So as opposed to, let's just say you're having, you're meal prepping your lunch for work. That's super common. And you have like broccoli and rice and salmon. I don't know. You put that in one container. That's fine. But maybe the next day you work from home and you don't want that exact same lunch. So what I have done, which has really helped me, especially when I was, trying to do the bodybuilding competition thing and I was in prep mode, I get so burnt out eating the exact same thing every day. I can eat the same thing multiple times throughout the week, but if you make me have the same freaking thing every single day, not only will I have a food aversion, but I actually might develop a food intolerance, which I did once. Oh my gosh. I definitely talked about that in a previous episode podcast about why I crashed out for bodybuilding in 2016. I was eating so much chicken and eggs, y'all. I literally gave myself a food intolerance. Like I had a food androgen test done, and literally my androgens were so high for that for the digestion of chicken, eggs, and almonds, which is funny because I never had an allergy or anything like that, but it was so bad, and I had to cut them out. I had to do an elimination of those foods for a while and slowly integrate them back into my diet. So learn from my mistakes. Some people might not have this problem, but I'm sensitive. I admit I've been told I'm sensitive my entire life. I've even had doctors and psychics tell me that I'm just sensitive. I am. I'm sensitive, and I've learned to accept it. Like I can't even do stimulants because Adderall makes me sweat, and I don't like that. Vyvanse gives me acne. I don't want acne at the age of 30. Like nobody wants that. So even for my ADHD, I have to do meditation, mental health practices, natural supplements, trying to increase my vitamin D, magnesium, sunlight exposure, and just trying to calm down for my brain's sake. So, anywho, learning about your body and your sensitivities, or even if you're kind of like not necessarily sensitive, but just you can't do it, you have an aversion to it. If you have an aversion, you push yourself, I think you're going to not only get burnt out and maybe have a hormonal digestive issue, you could even develop an eating disorder or disordered eating habits. And I don't want you to hate food because food is fuel. At the end of the day, food is fuel, baby. So having a food group option just has been so much better for me. So what I do like to do is like maybe potatoes or a carb source in one container and then put that in the fridge, and then chicken breast or ground beef already cooked, put that in the fridge, and then pre-cooked broccoli or zucchini or a vegetable in the fridge. Because fruit I have on hand. Fruit I have to maybe chop up an apple, that's fine. And you don't want to usually have disgusting brown apple pieces meal prepped, right? So because that will oxidize and turn it brown. So I don't meal prep fruit usually, and or breakfast, because I do eggs or oatmeal or yogurt bowl or smoothie for breakfast. That's fast, that's easy. But for lunch, if I already have tons of protein, if I already have, my carb source, my fats, my vegetables, then boom, that's easy. Takes a lot of my off of my plate. And if I have two different kinds of meats in my fridge, like chicken or salmon, or even like something like beef already prepared, then I could maybe make a salad with that, or make a little like Chipotle, like little rice bowl kind of combination, or make a sandwich with the chicken. Like mix it up because you don't have to eat the same thing all the time. That's between you and your coach if you're doing a bodybuilding cut and they really do want you to eat certain exact foods. Mine was able to let me do macro tracking, so that really did work for me because it started to feel like I can't eat this anymore. Like I literally would stare at my whole plate of food, which was a lot of food, tons of egg whites, vegetables, blueberries, typical bodybuilding diet. I would just stare at it for like 15, 20 minutes and I'd be like, I just like, this looks pitiful. I couldn't eat it. And you know what's going to happen when you don't eat? You're going to feel horrible. You're not going to look good. Your gym workouts are going to suck. Your hormones are going to be missing. Your hair is going to be falling out. You're going to be stressed all over the place. So learn from my mistakes. Just try to have a plan, a better plan. Don't demonize food. Food is fuel, depending on your goals. I like to do macro tracking. That just works for me and my goals. So food options is number 3. Love it so much. And number 4 is choose maybe 2 days a week to meal prep so that you're not overwhelming your timeline, but I like to do Wednesdays because it's in the middle of the week, and then Sundays because it's at the end or the beginning of the week. Well, wherever how you like to look at that, right? So Wednesdays, maybe I'll meal prep chicken or ground beef or pasta or rice or potatoes. I like to always have a carb, protein, and a vegetable on hand because that usually takes more time to cook. And when I'm hungry after the gym, baby, give me my food. And I even wrote this. It is so easy after the gym, or if you've waited too long for your eating window and you're just craving protein, to just down a whole container of hummus and crackers, and that could be more than 500 calories that you didn't plan for. And also, where's the protein, right? Where's the additional fiber? It might fit in your macros fine, but you're probably going to be hungrier and then over your calories for the day and just be like, oh, well, I can't eat anymore because that's all my calories, but you're still hungry. That's the worst feeling ever, when you are still hungry and you're over your calories. So what are you going to do? Chew on some celery? No, that's not great. So you're probably going to want to have something again with protein to keeps you full. And if you're after the gym and you're in a pinch, my hot tip is have a protein shake, have some Greek yogurt, just something with protein, so you don't want to punch a hole in the wall out of the hanger, okay? So you don't accidentally scream at the cat because you didn't meet your macros for the day. I don't have a cat. I'm just saying that's my recommendation. Now I'm going to read another blog about healthy drink options because I did one food and my goal was to do at least 2 blogs today. I don't want to rack up your time for the day. I have 5 blogs available to read, but 1 food and 1 beverage because people struggle with drinking healthy options and sometimes overconsume their calories just by drinking too many calories, right? So let's face it, a solid diet can only go so far when you end up drinking additional calories. Like Starbucks Frappuccinos, which can have a whole whopping 50 plus grams of sugar. Yes, you heard me correctly. I looked that up on the internet, so unless Google lied to me, that's a lot of sugar for 1 beverage. Also, side note, no protein usually, no fiber, so your insulin's going to really spike, and then you're going to have a blood sugar crash and feel really bad. And then you're probably going to be over your calories because 50 grams of sugar is a lot of calories. So, therefore, to achieve your dream physique, you need to focus on keeping your total beverage calories, in my opinion, between 100 or 200 calories or lower than that for the day, if possible. That does not include a special occasion. Of course, sometimes if you go out with friends or family, you might have a glass of wine or something like that. But remember, even an espresso martini, and I'm sorry to rain on your parade if that's your signature drink, it can be over 200 calories just between all the added sugar from the creams or the mixers. Unless you know exactly what they're putting in your drink, how are you going to calculate it? It's easier to stick with one option. By the way, if you're going out for an alcoholic beverage, like a glass of wine or a beer or a shot of tequila or something, because you can usually track that. Or you can tell them, hey, can I have just 1 shot of tequila? Tequila's the best if you're going to drink, my opinion. 1 shot of tequila with like sugar-free Sprite and a splash of lime. And then you have a drink, probably under 50 calories, and boom, you don't have to sacrifice this. Now, if you're cutting for a bodybuilding competition show, don't be drinking alcohol because your body is already needing more nutrients and not wanting to lose what it already has. Don't put yourself out of balance. But this is like for everyday healthy lifestyle. I don't really drink. If I have a drink, it's going to be 1 or 2 shots of something. That's it. Or a glass of wine if I'm going out. But again, I really don't drink that much. That's just me. But if you are going to have a healthy beverage, here are some non-alcoholic options for you and things that, in my opinion, are going to make you feel happy, and then you don't have to feel guilty because either they're 0 calories or they're very low calories, so under 50 calories usually. But Zevia, I should have brought it with me, but I already had one today, and I'm trying to only do 1 a day because it's kind of expensive. But Zevia is a 0-calorie healthy soda alternative, multiple flavors like root beer, orange soda. I like their cola, vanilla cola. That's my favorite. They had one on Amazon, but now it's discontinued. Caramel, oh my goodness. Even if you don't like caramel, it wasn't overtly sweet. It wasn't too much, but it was like just a kiss of caramel. I should have stocked up and bought like 20 cases because when I was cutting for my bodybuilding show and I wanted something sweet, that would help me feel like I was getting something sweet without eating, a whole chocolate like square or something, right? So Zevias are great. I found them at Publix, Walmart, Amazon, on their website, obviously. They're all over different stores, so check them out. I think Amazon's the cheapest, though, for like a pack of 8. The peaches and cream one is still in stock, is really good. Coffee. Now, coffee I usually always have with me. I'm a cold brew girly. It's not like I don't like regular coffee, but I live in Florida. It's always hot. Like it is already 85 plus degrees in March. So if you know, you know. Cold brew. I wish I could be sponsored by coffee. If you own a coffee company or work with a coffee organization like Elianos, hit me up. Let's work together because I would love to promote coffee on my podcast. If you can't tell, I love coffee. All coffee. Decaf coffee, regular coffee, cold brew, espresso, lattes. I worked at a Starbucks in a hotel. That was my very first job. Just always found coffee to be wonderful and inviting. Also for my creamer, because I know creamers have a lot of sugar and they can have a lot of oils and just added stuff that you don't want. I like Chobani's creamer because it's just stevia and cream and the flavoring, and it tastes great. Usually for a serving, it's like 10 to 20 calories for like 1 or 2 tablespoons, and that's not bad. Then it adds a little sweetness, or you could just do a 0-calorie sweetener like stevia and a little bit of milk. Boom, right? Next one's green tea. It's a great option because it's full of antioxidants. It'll help you keep you hydrated, a little boost of caffeine without as much as coffee, but it's still like something, I think it's like 40 to 50 milligrams per serving. You can add some stevia or nothing if you're a purist. Like my family is always purist when it comes to tea. I will say Tazo though, which you can find at Target and online. It's also, I think, the Starbucks brand. They have a green tea called Zen. It's so great by itself. It's like peppermint and lemongrass, but the flavor is like super forward. Also, I think it's organic, which is cool. So big fan of green tea, even decaf green tea. The next one, sparkling waters. You can get them everywhere. I really like Target's brand though because they have some fun flavors. Cranberry orange is a good flavor. You can mix it in to sugar-free juices or electrolyte drinks, and then it's also like a fun fake alcoholic beverage. So like a spritzer without the alcohol, which is great. And also you'll feel hydrated, have energy without a crash or anything like that. Awesome. The next two I'm going to combine unsweetened almond milk and a fat-free milk option, super low calorie. I like unsweetened almond milk because you can put it in smoothies, oatmeal bowls, cereal, usually virtual to 0 calories to like maybe 10. And vanilla is a great little flavor and it's unsweet. So it won't add too much sugar or anything like that. And I did that a lot when I was prepping for bodybuilding. I didn't even track it because it was just like 2 tablespoons, which is like no calories at all. I like Fairlife's fat-free milk because it's a low-calorie option and it also has a decent amount of protein. I want to say it's like 8 grams of protein per serving or more, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Next one, chamomile and herbal teas. I like this option because there's no caffeine. You can have it throughout the day. It won't disrupt your sleep cycle. It won't keep you energized. It'll also help calm you down. Like if you do the chamomile tea, it can help promote relaxation, restorative sleep, and help you wind down your brain. I like to have a glass of tea before bed. Usually it's kind of become my ritual because it helps me calm down, helps me de-stress, helps me do something for myself, like maybe write or read or do something creative that's not on my phone or like in front of the TV because that's blue light, right? That can disrupt your sleep cycle a little bit. But also it's just something that you can do that kind of winds you down before the end of the day, which is nice. The next one is sugar-free cranberry juice or diet cranberry juice. It has some vitamin C. Another great option if you're making a fake cocktail, such as a mocktail. Again, a flavorful addition. And I know Target has a great diet cranberry or diet juice option as well. I think it's like 10 calories for 1 8-ounce glass, which is not bad. Maybe 20. It depends on the brand though. The next one has a little bit more calorie-wise, Poppi, which you've probably seen as like a probiotic little soda option. I've seen them range from like 30 to 50 calories a can, but that's still so much better than a Coke. Like a regular full sugar Coke, I think is like 220 calories. That's a lot of calories. So this is a lot better. There's also some probiotics or prebiotics as well. And they have some really fun flavors. I like the watermelon and the blue raspberry. I found it at Publix. I think I found it at Walmart and Target as well. I don't really look at Walmart and Target as much as I used to just because they've upped their prices. So check maybe Amazon too, depending on price point. And the last one I saved for last because it's not for everybody's cup of tea, no pun intended, but it is an energy drink. And normally I don't do pre-workouts. I don't have that much caffeine. Most of my caffeine will come from coffee or green tea. I don't do stimulants anymore. Didn't work for my ADHD. Just don't like the crashing in effect. But if it's like earlier in the day or you have a long day ahead of you, you might need something else besides just a cup of coffee. So Gorilla Mind energy drink, love their brand. The guy that invented their brand is No Plates, No Dates. His name's Derek. He's awesome. He's on Instagram. And I like it because it's 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is a decent amount. That's probably almost 2.5 to 3 cups of coffee. But it also has a broad spectrum of neurotropics and dopaminergic. I knew I was going to mess that one up. It's just a fun word. Dopaminergic compounds that can help with focus and alertness and increasing dopamine production. Like they have saffron in it. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast, talked all about it, and sold me, and I started drinking one every periodically. I don't drink it every day. It can get expensive, but if I want to pick me up, if I need additional boosts, especially around like 11 or 12 a.m., if I'm going to work out or something, it can be really great. And they have some really cool flavors too. I haven't been able to find the one that tastes like the Swedish fish, but I want to find that one. I know they're also on Amazon, I think, and their website or Gorilla Mind. Maybe it's gorillamind.com, but GNC has a lot of the brands, so definitely find that there. And again, I have a lot more to come on my blog website and my website in general. I do offer one-on-one monthly coaching. Right now, my price point is $169 a month. That includes workouts, that includes macro tracking, that includes weekly check-ins, support, guidance, and access to all my ebooks. So please check that out if you aren't aware. I am doing monthly coaching and I would love to help you reach your health and fitness goals. I have a few other blogs though that are more about like snacks. So protein snacks, protein meals. Definitely check that out. Again, that's all at powerfulhippie.com. That is really it for me today, y'all. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, and following. It really supports me and my channel and podcast. So if you can share this with a friend or family member, I hope it helps them reach their health and fitness goals. And as always, I am so proud of you with whatever your goals are. Don't ever forget, y'all, you are powerful. Bye, guys.